Hello, I'm Stan Smith. Welcome to Is Not, Is To Art Studio. I know the title of this video is How to Epoxy Resin Inlay. That may be a bit presumptuous, because I have never done this before, and I'm pretty much making it up as I go. Anyway, I started by making this tray, and then I lined it with foil and tape, thinking this would give me a consistent thickness of resin to work with. Okay, it's resin time. I'm using Marine Pro. You mix it equal parts resin and hardener. I mix it for the full 4 minutes per the instructions, making sure to scrape the sides of the cup as I go. Now it's color time. Other than a little bit of red and black acrylic, I'm using mica powders for the bird and the branch and the leaves and flowers. Not really using a thought-out plan, just using whatever I have, blending some colors, pretty much mad scientist stuff. Just having fun, being creative, and hoping for the best. Time to try out my mold. I made it with 3 compartments so I could pour different colors without them mixing together. In this pour, I have one with black in it for the area around his beak, and one with orange in it for his beak, and the big one for his body, with the goal of it looking like a male cardinal, one of my favorite birds. I often see a pair in my yard here in North Texas. It's been about 48 hours now since I poured. I thought it was going to be a challenge to get the pieces out of the mold, but they actually came out pretty easily. They still had some flex to them, and I was wondering what I could make by bending and forming it before it gets hard. Okay, stay focused, one project at a time. I made some sketches and then a template of what I think a cardinal looks like. Then I placed it on the resin that looked like a good place and marked it out. Scroll saw time. This is my maiden voyage of my new saw. I was thinking after I do a couple of projects, I might do a product review. So far, so good. It cuts this resin like butter. I'm actually thinking the resin could be just a tad thicker. I have to admit, it was a little tedious cutting out his beak and that black part around his beak. And then I had to cut away part of his face to fit these pieces in. A lot of filing, but I got it all to fit. I got it held together with some tape on the back side temporarily, and I cut him some tail feathers as well. I think he's quite handsome, if I have to say so myself. I'm modifying the mold a bit so I can pour the branch and the leaves in the big compartment, and I'll also be making 3 flowers. I'm using more of my mica powder stash. In case you're not familiar with mica powder, it has a glittery quality to it that I'm hoping will give this piece an interesting look. I'd love to know what you think in the comments. And by the way, if you like this kind of content, could I suggest you subscribe to my channel? It's free. And in case you're wondering, I'm using a torch to pop bubbles in the resin. I will often be popping bubbles 20 to 30 minutes after pouring. Otherwise, it will be all milky looking from the tiny little bubbles. Now I'm trying to think ahead of what the flowers and leaves will look like. You may have noticed I poured some dark green down one side of the light green. So now I'm using a toothpick. I'm dragging some of the dark green up through the light green to make it look like the vein of the leaf. Let's see how it comes out. The next day I removed them from the mold and then gave it one more day to get good and hard. Then sketched out the flowers and leaves. Now, back to the saw. I have one tip for cutting out small pieces. Leave them attached to the main piece as long as you can, so you'll have something to hang on to as you cut. I have prepared a piece of 1/2-inch MDF for this project. I rounded off the edges and put some spacers on the back. I'll put a wire hanger on it later. And here's what it looks like blue. So next step is glue all this down so it doesn't float away when we do the dirty pour. I'm going to spare you the video of me gluing it down, but I will tell you what I used. Gorilla Wood Glue. And I did do a test on it, and it held. Sometimes resin can have a negative reaction on things like glue, tape, markers, etc. By the way, if you want to use markers, I recommend oil-based. That's what I used for his eye. Okay, now for the dirty pour. I mixed my resin as before, and then divided it into 2 cups, and mixed a light shade of blue in one and a slightly darker shade of blue in the other, and then poured them into 1 cup. I was hoping for more of a contrast, but it's okay, and besides, I did not want the sky overpowering the bird and flowers. And like I have said before, working with resin, you need to be flexible and willing to work with what you get. Time to pull the tape, and I like doing it this way. Yes, it's a bit wasteful, but I really like how it comes out so thick and smooth. I'll sand the drips on the back later. Here's where I got some of the sky on the flowers in the branch. No problem, just sand it off with some 400 grit, wet and dry, and the light scuffing with a medium Scotch-Brite. And here we are, ready for the clear coat. All these bubbles will come out with a little torch work. This piece has been fun, and I'm actually thinking of trying to make a peacock for my next project. So if you don't see it, that means it didn't come out very good. In any case, come back and see me. I'll be working on something. Till next time, God bless.